Everyone's losing their minds over selfies again, which basically means it's time to pull your camera out.
Uh-oh, somebody's pissed off on selfies. Call Laci Green. We need brainless.
Sup everyone, Laci Green here. You probably saw that viral video last week where the sisters of ASU's Alpha Chi Omega sorority took selfies at a baseball game.
No, I don't watch baseball. I'm British, Laci.
After the announcers of the game asked fans to post selfies of themselves to Twitter for a T-Mobile promo, they proceeded to mock the ladies for making faces and taking 300 pictures of themselves.
Oh no! Some girls were mocked by a man because they made too many photos and they probably looked silly making silly faces in their selfies. Oh, what's wrong, Laci? What's wrong? Did that meanie hurt your little feelings? Aww.
After tremendous backlash, they offered the ladies free tickets to a game, which the sorority refused, asking instead for donations to a domestic violence center.
So let me get this straight. A tremendous backlash, otherwise known as a Twitter hate mob, descended upon this guy who was probably making a joke. You know, kind of like how when comedians always go up to the audience and then proceed to take the piss out of them, just to see who they can, get fined. You know, someone who looks interesting or says something silly that they can rip on, which is what he's doing. And he just says, oh, look at that. That's silly. I mean, it totally happened to only the girls. I mean, it couldn't possibly have happened to any of the men who posted selfies on Twitter. I'm sure he was doing the same, but oh no, nobody cares about men's feelings. They don't exist unless they're doing something wrong. Isn't that right, Laci? So basically, people descended upon this guy's Twitter and the baseball stadium's Twitter, or whoever the fuck it is. I don't give a shit about baseball. And the team gave all these women free tickets, which apparently was, declined. And then these women instead wanted money to go to a domestic violence thing. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but at least they're giving to charity and not just pocketing it for themselves, I guess. But I don't get it. Why the hoo-ha over nothing, Laci?
Damn, selfie shade is nothing new, of course, but this was next level obnoxious.
Wait, what? What are you talking about? Selfie shaming. What the hell is that? So he took the mickey out of someone's selfie, He took the mickey out of a selfie. All of a sudden he's shaming these people. He's not shaming them. He's making a joke. But hey, if a woman was to do it, nobody would batter an eyelid. Because, oh, those guys, they're just, toxic masculinity. Oh, how dare they, post a picture of themselves humping some silly statue. Oh, how dare they swear in front of a camera. How dare they try and look so puff and masculine. They should be ashamed of themselves. Yeah, we never hear anything criticising that by you feminists. But, there's only one standard for you, one standard for us. And hey, that's real life for you.
Their complaints about young people using their phones echoes like a modern "get off my lawn!"
Says the woman who has the mind of a 45-year-old.
There's definitely a generational divide here, but
how? Just because the man who took the mickey out of these people are old doesn't mean that there's some kind of generational gap. Maybe there's a generational gap in, taking humour and, not giving a fuck about someone ripping into you just for the laughs, just for the lulz. He wasn't trying to be personal or anything. Or is it, there's a personal generational gap between, I don't know, intelligence now? Oh, please explain it to me, Laci. Explain it.
There's even more to the story. The announcer's little rant was splattered with sexism.
Oh my! This guy now ranted rather than, make a joke about things, and now it's splattered with sexism. Wow, you're making it sound like a body horror show, mate. You're making it sound like some kind of horror film. Oh my god, this man was sexist. Oh, please, Laci, tell me what was sexist so I can sharpen my pitchfork and stab this guy.
When we're talking about the selfie debate, it's not just about pictures.
Oh, selfie debate. Good one. Never mind about the fact that I need to know how this guy was sexist and how all of a sudden someone joking and ripping on people in an audience posting selfies is now all of a sudden a rant, but oh well.
It's a coded conversation about young women who take them.
Careful, the sexists are now speaking in code! Quick! Don your tinfoil hat fedora, because we need protection from this coded messages about young women.
Concern people express about selfies is almost identical to misogynistic insults that have been hurled at girls forever, that we're vain and superficial, vapid, desperate for attention, that we're not real fans, we're just plotting for male attention.
Oh my, so much wrong with this statement. I just don't know where to start. How does criticizing one's selfie automatically become misogynist, Laci? I really want to know that, because that is just a load of bullshit right there. Look, some people do make selfies with the tits hanging out and the duck faces and got the lovely makeup and they've got all sorts of sexy poses for attention. Not necessarily because they're vapid or, I don't know, whatever, you know. They just want male attention. Girls dress up nicely and show themselves in public like that because they do want attention. Not always, but sometimes they do. And it's funny because, isn't that weird? Because isn't that something you did and continue to do? You know, putting your camera at a very nice angle where the lovely body parts can be seen for all the young males and their gays. I mean, I'm not criticising you for hypocrisy or anything. I'm not criticising you for hypocrisy, but, you know, I'm just pointing something out there.
Obviously, everything girls do is for boys.
Nobody's saying that. Sometimes girls do it for other girls. I don't know why you're being so homophobic, Laci. Oh, but to be serious, you know, Lauren Southern was accused of, when she went to that slut walk in, I don't know which one, was it Santa Monica or the one in Canada that she went to? She was accused of doing basic reporting for male attention. Or, I think it may have been the Santa Monica one that she did with Milo Yiannopoulos. She did that for male attention. That's bullshit. She was reporting on feminist things that has been going on recently. And it's funny, because isn't the slut walk just one giant big parade for attention? Like, look at us, we're feminists and we will dress sluttily because fuck your imaginary rape culture. Again, I don't mean to say she's a hypocrite, but she ain't saying something that isn't hypocritical.
Right?
No.
You know, I gotta say, it's strange living in a culture that aggressively tells girls their primary value is in how they look, and then proceeds to mock them for paying any attention to their appearance.
Citation needed, Laci. I think you'll find in those women magazines, it's not the men that are telling the women to look that good, it's the women that are telling them to look good.
And not only should women be beautiful to have any value, but we should also deeply hate ourselves.
Again, citation needed. Who the hell is saying this shit? I've not said it. I've not heard any man say to a woman, oh, you should look very nice for me. You should love yourself. Oh, no, not right. You should now hate yourself. I have never heard that, Laci. The only thing I've heard from that is feminists. You know, the sex negative feminists are constantly telling women that they should cover up, or at least tell us men to cover up our female models because apparently that's objectifying them and then it's harming them, while the sex positive feminists are saying, let it all out, let it go, let it go, let it go. And I think you're bombarding women with weird messages. And that's not the guys, that's you. Although there may be some male feminists that are saying it, but by and large they will be shot down by you for and calling them sexist. But for men, you know, we're told constantly that masculinity is bad, that it's toxic, and that everything we do is sexist, from sitting down to talking to people. Yet apparently women are told to love and hate themselves in equal measure. Right.
One example of this is the well-documented phenomenon of guys text messaging women compliments and then calling her ugly or a bitch if she agrees.
You do realise that that's just banter between men and women, right, Laci? I mean, have you ever had a conversation with someone? Do you even reality, bro?
It was just banter.
Another example is that song What Makes You Beautiful by 1D. The heartthrobs say, you don't know you're beautiful. That's what makes you beautiful.
How the hell is singing about a person who is insecure and saying you're beautiful, but your insecurity is what makes you beautiful. It's a silly, you know, oxymoron thing, but you can see what they mean. Your personality makes you beautiful, as well as what is on the outside. It's a stupid pop song, but they're not being sexist. Jesus Christ, Laci. I don't want to bring out that song.
Why, oh why do we romanticize girls with low self-esteem?
Because men want to make them feel absolutely incredible, Laci. Men want to make them from low esteem to high esteem people. They don't want to, you know, make them feel worse. What do you want us to do? Let all these women be depressed and, you know, be horrible and feel nasty about themselves when they could meet a man who makes them feel like $1 million. That is why we romanticize them, because we want to make them feel better. We like these girls. We fall in love with them because we want to help them and we love them and we like everything about them. Even their flaws, even their insecurity, because we want to fix them. Have you not heard the Coldplay song, I Will Fix You? Loads of songs made by male songwriters about fixing a woman's issues. In fact, if you think about it, the whole of human history has been nothing but men trying to improve women's lives. You know, the dishwasher, the take your pick, you know, the washing machine, cars even. So that a woman doesn't have to walk 5 miles to a shop, she can drive 5 miles and be there in 10 minutes, you know? The first person to ever drive a person long distance was a woman, and in fact she was Mercedes, Mr. Mercedes' wife. She was the first chauffeur to drive long distance in Germany and held the world. There you go. Maybe off topic, but historical fact for you guys.
One theory is that there are multiple multi-billion-dollar industries that rely on self-hatred to cash in.
Low self-esteem does not equate self-hatred. There is a difference, Laci. Stop trying to equate the two for this disingenuous argument.
Think of the diet industry or the beauty industry.
Laci, this also happens with men too. With similar type of industries, you know, diets, gyms, etc, etc. Take your pick. Men are also thinking low of themselves and have low self-esteem and may hate themselves. And industries take advantage of this shit because, you know, there are people who want to better themselves and look nicer, sound nicer, etc. There's nothing wrong with this. There's nothing wrong with this. Just like how there are industries that make people feel even happier than they already are. There's nothing wrong with this, Laci. When there's a market, there is a product, and people want to be better. What is wrong with this? There's nothing wrong with makeup and dietary things. It goes both ways. If people want to look better, they want to look better. What do you want them to remain? I don't know, take your pick. Ugly and feel bad about it and not let them have that makeup that makes them feel better? You sound like you just want women to be depressed, Laci. Hell, even men to be depressed. What do you want?
Another theory is textbook sexism. Self-hatred ensures that women believe they're inferior, thereby giving us less power and keeping us in our place.
Holy shit, you just described the feminist strategy on how to remain relevant. You make women feel depressed, you make them hate themselves, which causes low self-esteem, which therefore allows for an inferiority complex, which means that you have less perceived power when actually you have loads, which means that you guys can keep spreading that propaganda and trying to stay relevant and keeping everyone down and getting more and more control because governments will see, oh shit, our women are oppressed and are feeling terrible, we've got to help them, and you give them the worst possible advice to sort these problems out that you created, and now we're where we are now.
And for all these reasons and more, selfies can be a radical tool of defiance.
What? How? You're gonna make yourselves look like idiots in front of every normal person in the world? Say, we will not stand for sexism and misogyny. Here, misogyny, face selfie! Oh no, it's a selfie made by a woman! Ah! Yeah, girl power! Jesus Christ.
Selfies allow young women to define themselves instead of constantly being defined by other people.
If you are an individual that allows yourself to be defined by other people rather than define yourself, you have issues. That is your fault. That is not my fault. That is not society's fault. That is that person's fault. And selfies are not gonna fix that issue. Selfies are just simple photography that people do every day and have done since the invention of cameras. The first photograph ever made was by a guy testing his camera out for himself in the mirror or something. That was a selfie. All selfies are is a form of photography. Self-portrait. There is absolutely nothing political and sociological about them that will help people in general. Laci, you're talking out of your ass.
Selfies also promote better representation. It's a direct challenge to old media where women's representation is overwhelmingly controlled by men.
Citation needed, Laci. Citation needed. If the women's representation is controlled by men, how come we have programs like Girls? And how come we have so many new up-and-coming actresses becoming highly successful, creating very good roles themselves, plus, you know, whatever, take your pick. Yeah, apparently selfies are going to end this. They're going to be a new media that can challenge old media. Laci, you are the mainstream. You are part of the old media. You work for MTV, for fuck's sake. You are part of the problem. And no, it won't be selfies. It will be YouTube channels that challenge old media, not selfies. People making selfies are not going to change the world. Nor do they promote better representation. What the hell? It's one person or two or three, whoever can fit inside that small camera lens. That's not going to do anything. What if they're all white? What if they're all black? What if they're all Asian? What if it's sometimes a mix? That's not going to change anything. What are they going to do? Seriously, feminism, have you run out of ideas to tackle this patriarchy?
Selfies bring a diversity of gender expression, body types, skin colors, and so on into the spotlight where they're usually missing.
Citation needed, Laci. Look, they're selfies. Most people don't see other people's selfies, Laci. They're a personal thing for other people. They're using on Facebook accounts and shit. It doesn't even matter. Selfies will not change the world. I've already said this.
Selfies can also be a form of self-celebration, a momentary shout-out to yourself, or perhaps a middle finger to a world that expects self-loathing.
So then you are arrogant, vapid, and just doing it for attention. Is that right, Laci? You just contradicted yourself there. Selfies do nothing to make people with low self-esteem feel better. They're just selfies, for fuck's sake.
And even with the use of filters and angles and lighting, selfies are slowly moving us toward greater authenticity and transparency with each other.
Girl, have you even heard of the fat girl angle?
I think this paves the way for our less glamorous moments to gain visibility and normality as well.
What the fuck? What do you mean the less glamorous things will gain normality? They're already normal! People already do this shit! It's you people who have a skewed sense of reality that big them up to be something that they're not. Most people don't give a shit about this. They just don't.
So instead of getting our undies in a bunch about girls doing stuff wrong again, we should be actively questioning the impulse to condemn girls for self-confidence.
Don't condemn people for self-confidence. That's what we want in people. We condemn people being arrogant twats, Laci. Like you.
And to judge and pathologize people for taking pictures of themselves.
That's funny because you judged all men for basically liking people with low self-esteem and then basically said the whole world doesn't like it. Society doesn't like people with low self-esteem, even though One Direction had a song about a woman with self-esteem that they found beautiful. But never mind. Sorry, Laci, but people are judgmental. They are horrible and they make assumptions. And you are one of them, Laci. You have done it too. Do not lie.
And I mean, politics aside, what kind of monster doesn't want to see pictures of friends and family on their timeline? I'd love to see my friends at a baseball game.
Nobody wants to see their family on their timeline because it usually ends up being very embarrassing seeing the older members try to be cool on Facebook. And no, I do not find most of the shit people post on their Facebooks and their Twitters to be the least bit interesting. I find it to be boring and banal and not very exciting. Sorry, Laci, I'm not like you. I'm not someone who is amused at the sight of dust forming over a shelf or something, and whatever you find exciting and brilliant.
And I'm still jealous of those churros.
Cool story, bro. Tell me more.
Let me know what y'all think down below, and until next time, stay braless.
Yeah, keep making those selfies, people. Only then can we combat the horrible patriarchy. Anyway, this has been Charming Man 93. Like and share the video, subscribe to my channel, and stay brainless!